Hey, bro, whatever you're going through, leave us out of it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about an off-duty pilot on an Alaskan Airlines flight from Everett, Washington to San Francisco who tried to turn the plane's engines off mid-flight with a plane full of people. He is being charged with 83 counts of attempted deletion. I'm saying that word because we're on YouTube and they might want to censor me, but you understand what I'm saying. Now, this guy said he was depressed and he was feeling negative feelings and he didn't want to be here anymore. I'm like, look, man, whatever you got going on, handle that outside the airplane. If you want to do something like that to yourself, seek help. But whatever you do not get on a plane with everybody else and try to take us with you. All right. Now, this is a really scary thing, really crazy thing, but it can happen. I've heard about one story like this overseas where the pilot, I believe, was actually successful and brought the plane down. So these things can happen. Unfortunately, they're rare. And that's why you have a good co-pilot, you know, two guys on the plane, not just one person with your life in his hands. And this guy wasn't even actually the pilot. He was a pilot, but he was off duty. He was getting the ride back to the house. Now, before we continue, I need to play a video so we're able to really understand what's happening and get full context. If you want to see the video and read the article and whatnot in full, I will link to it in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We turn now to the pilot who authorities say tried to crash a passenger plane over the U.S. Tonight, new details of the life and death struggle inside that cockpit and what that pilot now says he took before that flight. He's now charged with 83 counts of attempted murder.
Now, let's pause for a minute. So he was in the cockpit, but he was not flying the plane. He was in the jump seat, which is behind the actual pilots. So they're going to show it in a minute, but you got the pilot, co-pilot sitting next to each other flying the plane. But inside the cockpit, there's another seat where a third person can sit as a courtesy to pilots that are off duty who need to ride back to the house. That's probably where he was going, back home. And then he did the unthinkable. Let's check it out.
Here's Gio Benitez.
Tonight, Alaska Airlines pilot Joseph David Emerson looking emotional, appearing before a judge late today to face attempted murder charges for trying to crash a passenger jet.
Enter not guilty plea on all counts.
As we learned, he allegedly told investigators he had taken psychedelic mushrooms for the first time some 48 hours before the incident.
Let's pause for a minute. Okay, see, when you hear some of these stories, you hear about, oh, he was depressed and he wanted to take himself out. He wanted to delete himself and all this and that and the third. But they don't tell you about their substance abuse. They don't tell you about the drugs they were on. When you look at all these mass shooters and people that do crazy things to people, that hurt other people, that hurt themselves publicly, usually it's the same old story. On some kind of drugs, messing with their head, they're hearing voices, they're seeing things. Now, I'm not a shrooms expert. You guys in the comments who might enjoy shrooms, you guys let me know. But doesn't a shroom trip cause you to see things that aren't there, to hear things that are not really being said, to hear sounds that don't exist? Isn't that part of it? So maybe if you're already depressed and you're thinking about harming yourself and you take drugs, that's a recipe for disaster. We just covered the story of the shooter in Maine where they said he was hearing things in the mental hospital. And what probably happened after the 2 weeks in the hospital? Hey, Mr. Veteran with voicing schizophrenia, here's a big bag of pills. I know you're a firearms instructor and you have access to a sniper rifle, but go ahead. Don't even worry about it. Here's the pills. Have a nice day. We see the pattern here. We see it.
And thought he was having a nervous breakdown after going without sleep for 40 hours. Authorities say Emerson was off duty, hitching a ride in the
So you see, that's the, here's the cockpit, right? So you got the pilot, co-pilot right next to each other, flying the plane right in front of the controls. And right behind them is an off-duty pilot in the jump seat. That's where this guy was sitting. And you see those controls right above the pilots. they were saying that these controls were actually right above the guy in the jump seat. So he was able just to go straight up and try to power the planes down. He had better access to those controls than the actual pilots did. So it could have been really bad for everybody on board.
Cockpit's jump seat Sunday. The on-duty pilots telling police Emerson engaged in casual conversation. But then mid-flight, he threw his headset across the cockpit and announced, "I am not okay." Then reaching up and grabbing the red fire handles and pulling them down. A pilot physically engaged with Emerson for 25 to 30 seconds. Had Emerson pulled the handles all the way down, the plane would have turned into a glider within seconds. Emerson calming down and exiting the cockpit, allegedly telling a flight attendant, "You need to cuff me right now or it's going to be bad." Emerson, a father with an unblemished flying history, telling police he struggled with depression and a friend recently passed away. And it was his first time taking mushrooms. And David, Emerson is also facing a federal charge of interfering with a flight crew, along with those 83 counts of attempted murder.
So that's what's happening right there. You see the story, you hear what's happening. Again, I will link to this in the description so you can watch it for yourself and share it with friends and family. But yeah, that's crazy. Now, this is part of the reason why I am so anti-drug, because things like this are going to happen. You're going to have dangerous episodes. People that have depression already might have some issues with their brain chemistry. Then they bring drugs in the mix. It makes people do things they shouldn't be doing. All right. And they're trying to normalize all this stuff. Okay. Weed was the first step. Now, a lot of you guys love to smoke weed, whatever. I'm not trying to attack your precious weed. But when you legalize weed, you open the door for other things. Just like legalizing gay marriage. I have nothing against gay people. None at all. If somebody's gay, that's their business. But the problem is when you legalize gay marriage, you open the door for other things. Now, we have full-grown biological males competing against females in sports. Some are going to say, well, how do you link gay marriage to men competing against women in sports where they should not be there? It's because when you give some people an inch, they'll take a mile and they'll make it stretch. It doesn't make sense to link these things together, but it does make sense because, hey, if you're going to allow everyone to get married, then why should I be discriminated against because I think that I'm this gender? If you allow everyone to get married, then why can't everyone identify as whatever they want to identify as? Then it gets ridiculous. And here we are. First, it was weed, and I even said it. When they legalize weed, it's going to be the next taboo thing. Okay, because weed for a long time, it was in the taboo space, not really illegal, not really legal. Once that's no longer in the taboo space and it's just normalized, you can smell weed in every street corner in America. Okay, cool. What's the next drug that's going to take weed's place that it formerly had as a taboo, legal, illegal? Okay, shrooms. Now it's a big push to legalize shrooms. Then what's next? You're going to get to the point where you have California. California, in my opinion, is America's future. Now you're going to have open air drug markets, fentanyls everywhere, cracks everywhere. People just doing whatever they want to do all over the streets. And either you have a lot of money, a multimillionaire to be able to just rise above it, or you don't, and you're going to be in the muck and the mire with all the people that are on drugs, acting the fool, acting crazy, sexual deviants and everything else. That's where we're going to go if we don't put a stop to all this madness. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about this pilot who tried to take down the whole plane after he had, for the very first time, taken some shrooms, hadn't been sleeping, was depressed? What do you think caused the break? Was it a depression or his very first time taking shrooms, not sleeping, probably having some kind of mental breakdown as a result of all that was going on? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. Obviously, these drugs are a problem. They're becoming normalized, and not everyone is able to handle them. We see a lot of crazy things happen. And again, whenever there's a mass shooting in the school or something like that, you pretty much know the MO of the person. You already know what's going on. Mental illness. And what aggravates mental illness? Drugs. Drugs makes it worse. Oh, Take this pill, you'll feel better. Side effect, might get homicidal. And then as a result, you got 20 innocent people deceased in a bowling alley in Maine. That's what's going on in my humble opinion. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.